Right, let me bring in Kevin Newell, who's a vegan pest controller. Morning, Kevin.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. What in situations like this where, we can all look and think, oh, a rogue parakeet that's going about, when you're actually experiencing it and it's costing you a lot of money and it's causing a lot of damage, what do you do?
Well, firstly, it's trying to understand, we obviously need to establish whether this is someone's pet or not, because we obviously, if it is, it needs to be reunited with someone. But I often see cases like this, not in parakeets. It's the first time I've heard of parakeets doing this, but I often have cases where crows and rooks will display similar kind of behaviour, pecking at the putty around windows, pecking at the plastics around doors and frames like that. And in those situations, the best thing we've found worked, and it might work here with a parakeet, because this is a slightly unusual case, is having, you get these real life party masks that you can get online or from local shops for like 10 for £5 and putting them inside the windows. And the idea is you're making the bird think that there's someone in there. Now, if these birds are scared of people, typically with the corvids, this works really well. It can deter them from doing that, and it's about breaking that cycle of behaviour. So this bird's acting in a very strange way. Sitting on the other caller's door handle there, that's not the kind of behaviour you'd expect of a wild bird, which makes me worry that this could be someone's pet. And if it is, I asked them to come forward and try and help this bird, because if it's been out since February, it's going to be struggling a little bit. So it might, like you say, be a call for help, literally on the door handle.
I know, and the team always take the mickey out of me in here because I'm always on the side of the animal no matter what's happening, right? And I put my cards on the table. I'm there, right? I hold my hands up to that. But that kind of behaviour, what is that telling you? Pecking rubber, I'm pretty certain they're not going to do that out in the wild, but because if they were going to use trees or whatever else, I'm sure there's plenty of trees up there they could do that. What is that actually? What would that suggest to you it's trying to get at?
Well, it's not trying to get in the car. It's not trying to keep its beak nice and trim. So for me, this is a psychological behaviour that the bird's displaying. So again, it makes me wonder or worry that if this is someone's pet, it's had some kind of similar toys. Parrots have lots of toys in the cages that they use, and these are often rubber, plastics and that. So I wonder if that could be the case. And it's the thing that stands out for me, I would say, was the fact it was on the door handle. You just wouldn't expect that of a wild bird usually, especially a parakeet. So it's obviously got that familiarity with that kind of scenario. So it does worry me that this, like I keep saying, it could be someone's pet. So we need to make sure we look at it as if it's someone's pet rather than a pest at the moment, because we don't want any harm coming to someone's beloved bird if someone does come forward and claim them.
Chris Ann, is there plans to try and capture said parakeet and return it to its rightful owner? Wilson Phillips, hold on, it's 10 to 12 here in Radio Scotland. We're talking about your animal encounters because of this parakeet that's causing havoc in Inverness. Kevin Newell's still with us, who's a vegan pest controller at the Humane Wildlife Solutions. Necessarily fancy what might happen after being attacked by a seagull, because if they're swooping or they're dive bombing you, but their beaks aren't exactly small, and if they're going at some pace, then I don't know. Kevin's still with us, who's at Humane Wildlife Solutions. He knows all about these things. How do you try? Is it about making sure that you're not putting yourself in a situation, Kevin, where I don't know, it's hard to not walk up down the street if you're eating a roll or a bag of chips or something like that, but just, how do you stop these scenarios happening?
Well, firstly, it's good to ask me that. I was at the Scottish Government's Goal Summit last year, presenting to stakeholders and ministers, so this is a good question for me. But the way to do it is, if you know gulls are causing issues, is you got to think ahead. So people always contact me saying they've got a problem with gulls, they're swooping, and when they're swooping, we've got to remember that they're swooping because they're just trying to protect their family. They're generally not aggressive birds, but if they're going to defend their family, just like a human would defend their children, they're going to do the same. So when people contact me saying this is happening, what you need to do is when the gulls have moved on, is then do work to try and deter and stop them nesting in those same areas. So next year it doesn't happen again. But sadly, what I find a lot with people is they will say it's a gull issue. The gulls will go away, and then they never get back in touch until the gulls return next year, and they're at the very same point again. But if you're in an area where there are gulls that are swooping, I've done many a licensed egg and nest removals and taken to wildlife rescue centres under licence. And in those processes, you get swooped a lot. I've been swooped many a times. I find simply putting your hand above your head just before they come down is a really good way, and they just lift off and decline the attack, if you like, so they don't actually make contact. It's a simple method that I've been using for many years. And like I say, once those gulls as eggs has hatched and the chicks are raised and moved on, then it's when you start putting deterrents in place to stop those gulls nesting there again, so you don't get a repeat of it the next year after. But the really important thing is gulls, like I said, they're not naturally aggressive birds. They're just doing what we would do in similar situations, and that is just defending their children and their family.
Kevin, I mean, you're obviously going down the humane route, and yep. I wonder if are there ways that if people have got issues with rats or mice or whatever, like you can do that humanely and make sure they stay away?
Yeah, this is what I've been doing for the last 13 years. I've done over 8,700 jobs in that time, and I'm currently in Poland at the moment, working with an organisation over here trying to show the people of Poland how you can just solve problems with rats and mice without causing them any harm. And the best thing about it is, because I don't use rodenticides, I don't kill them, I spend the time to understand how they're getting into buildings, how they're using the space in the building, what's that mental motivating factor for that rat or that mouse to want to be there. Is it nesting or is it food? And then slowly working back from that to remove those attractions, remove the need for them to be there, and then preventative work afterwards to stop them ever getting back into the buildings again. And then what you find is that's a long-term solution. Sadly, rodenticides, they put poisons down. It may kill them. There's a resistance rate in rodents at the moment across the UK. It varies in different areas, which means that it's not always going to kill them. And then the thing is that even if you do kill that population, more mice or more rats are going to fill that vacant territory. So doing preventative work is the key way to stop an issue reoccurring year after year. And I've been doing that for 13 years very successfully.
Yeah, it's so interesting. If we just take a bit of time to try and figure out the cause of it, then the problem doesn't keep returning. And if just finding out there's simple ways and solutions that we can do this is pretty insightful. Kevin, thank you so much for your time this morning. Kevin Newell there, who's a humane wildlife solutions expert.